and I'm proud to be an American.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Central Valley Talk. My name is Ray Johns, and the name of my show is Voices Not Yet Heard. And like we say every week, we hope your voice will get heard today. And maybe this will become a vehicle. Before we get started today, I want to show you a very short video, and then we'll come right back and discuss that video.
Something very clear. Blue lives matter in America. I stand before you tonight with a heavy heart as the law enforcement community prepares to bury three of Baton Rouge, Louisiana's finest. But there is some good news out of Baltimore, Maryland, as Lieutenant Brian Rice was acquitted on all charges. In the malicious prosecution of activist State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. Now I want to talk to you about something important. Indeed, a concept that 5 law enforcement officers were murdered and 9 more were wounded for earlier this month, and for which 3 more were murdered 2 days ago in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and that is the importance of making America safe again.
I wanted you to see that because if you recall, that was a speech at the first night of the Republican National Convention, and he received probably the most thunderous applause of anyone. In fact, at the end of the convention, the only one who received more thunderous applause was Donald Trump himself the night of his acceptance speech. Now, I wanted you to see that because there's something I want to talk about. Sheriff David Clarke is himself a victim now of a lot of things on the internet, a barrage of insults from being called an Uncle Tom to a shoeshine boy. Well, what gripes me about that, what upsets me about that, is the very people that are labeling him themselves hate to be stereotyped and categorized and profiled, and yet they profile this man, a man of law and order. You know, there are certain people and organizations in this country that have to realize that this country was built on law and order, and without it, we have anarchy. I hope you enjoy my show today. I'm going to bring in my good buddy Gary Clemente, and we're going to talk about a lot of things today. Gary,
hey,
welcome
Ray.
back, buddy.
Thanks for having me. I'm back.
There's a lot of things. First of all, I need to say this. If you're watching me live right now, then it is live, and you can feel free to call in. The number will be on the screen. Later, I might be on YouTube, and I wouldn't want you calling in, and I'm not here. Anyway, there's a lot of things I want to talk about. One thing I want to promote you going to see is Hillary's America. Right, Gary?
Yeah, oh, exactly. You've got to see that.
It is a must-see. It's a must-see. And now I understand. Yes. I was at Barnes & Noble the other day, and the book is, of course, there. And also Clinton's Cash, which I don't know a lot about, but I understand it's an excellent book. And I think it deals a great deal with their foundation.
Right, right. Well, Clinton Cash is something that came out earlier in the year. It's a book by Peter Schweitzer.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm glad you know about this. I didn't know.
Oh, yes, yeah. I know a lot about it. Yeah. I've seen it. Anybody that wants to see Clinton Cash can see it on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and type in Clinton Cash. You can see it. Mm-hmm. It's free. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to expose this story and what the Clintons are all about on YouTube. They already have at least 2 million hits in the first week alone.
Oh, is that right?
That many people that have seen Clinton Cash. It really, really
I'm going to buy the book. I almost bought it last week. I went there to pick up a book that I'd ordered, but I saw that on the way out. You know, I just go by to see what's on the bestsellers list, and it's there.
Yes, yes.
As is Hillary's America.
He just really rips into the Clintons, and it shows how they have ripped off these poor orphan children in Haiti with money that was promised to them through the foundation. And the Haitians, in fact, a lot of these Haitian folks were at the Democrat National Convention protesting, holding up signs, "We hate you, Hillary, you know, you're bogus."
But they didn't show that, did they? They were
No,
they were a little
didn't.
reluctant to show that
it's
to
the
us.
crime of omission by the media,
absolutely.
the crime of omission.
Crime of omission, yes.
Exactly. And there are so many other things, and you cannot, in fact, there are a lot of left-wing publications that have written up stories about Clinton Cash, verifying that a lot of the things that Peter Schweizer was saying are indeed true. You're talking about the New York Times, you're talking about Salon.com, you're talking about Huffington Post. They have posted articles verifying that a lot of what Peter Schweizer said in Clinton Cash is true. So it's not just a right-wing conspiracy going on here. All of this stuff
can you
works.
believe, I mean, we've got so much on Hillary Clinton. I mean, so very much on Hillary Clinton. From the emails to we could sit here and do 5 shows just about Hillary Clinton.
Oh, my gosh. Going all the way back to Arkansas.
Yeah, and still, she has a following. And that's why I urge people to do these things. You know, do your own due diligence about this woman. You know, just go out and you can find out about these things. You know, and find out that what we're talking about is actual.
Well, I tell people, Ray, that the best way to get your information isn't through television. Although we're doing a great job here on television, you know. I keep telling people that I keep forgetting to tell you that we should be the new team, Salt and Pepper. But I keep forgetting who's salt and who's pepper. But we'll figure it. You tell me.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
But people should not get their information about, especially politics, through television. You've got to read.
You've got to
get
you really
online,
do. Very well said.
At least get online and read and cross-reference things. Don't read just one article. Read 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
Absolutely. Do your due diligence
Yes.
on this. You know, this is very possibly, I know certainly for me, this is the most important election of my lifetime, without a doubt, of my lifetime.
Yes.
This country needs to head in a different direction, ladies and gentlemen. We have to head in. So do your homework, like Gary said. Do your due diligence. Find out for yourself. Reference and cross-reference everything. And I think once you do that, you'll make a very informed decision. It'll be the right decision, and it'll be Donald Trump.
Right. Yeah, studying politics isn't really that difficult. You have to know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. You kind of break things
Gary, that's
down.
not too hard. That's not too hard to figure out right now.
Oh, you know, a lot of folks think that politics is about opinion. Well, I've got an opinion, you've got an opinion, and your opinion is no better or different than mine. Well, that's not true. It's not about opinion. It's about fact. It's about getting your facts down and knowing, especially in this election here, it is about right and wrong. It is about who's telling the truth and who's lying. Somebody's lying and somebody's telling the truth. It's not about door number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 that you have to pick from, and it's too difficult. It's either door number 1 or door number 2. And if you have enough common sense and you go out and you do your reading, you can figure out who's lying and who's telling the truth. To me, it's very obvious.
And to me, also, it's about who can run this country, who can effectively run this country, who can bring jobs back to this country, who can turn this economy around for the better.
Exactly. It's all about knowing who's got the smarts, really. Hillary's not a very smart person. You can tell. She may be cagey, she may be wiry and all of that business, but she's no Donald Trump. She has accomplished nothing. In fact, if you read her book, her autobiography, you won't even see any mentions in there about her, quote, distinguished career in the Senate, because there was no distinguishing career in the Senate for Hillary Clinton. There was nothing. So she doesn't even mention it in the book. And why is it, Ray, that when you go to the Democrat National Convention, we don't hear anything? We didn't hear one thing about the glorious Clinton Foundation.
Oh, because because for one thing, everybody is starting to wake up and find out exactly what the Clinton Foundation is.
Yeah, it's nothing more than an organization for grifters, scam artists, and criminals.
$25 million from Saudi Arabia alone. into the Clinton Foundation.
It's amazing how much money they raked in, hundreds of millions. They come out of the White House and they said, we came out of the White House and we were broke. We didn't have a dime. We're so poor. And now they've got over $250 million in the bank.
Unbelievable.
They've only their charitable foundation. They pocket, out of 100% of what comes in, they pocket about 85 to 90% that goes into their pocket. And they said, well, it goes for accounting expenses. Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? That goes right along with what I read, that like less than probably 7% actually goes where it should go.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. It's all true. I mean, if you read this enough, you see that it is true. It's you have to, as we keep saying, you have to cross-reference things. If people want to know the truth, they need to read, not just watch TV. Read.
It's a very important election, ladies and gentlemen, extremely important. And, you know, this woman has to be discredited. I mean, I'm surprised it hadn't happened already. You know, every time I think about the fact that she skirted, I think about General Petraeus. I can't help it. I think about him every time. This man should be exonerated. This man should be pardoned or whatever. You know.
You're right. You're absolutely right. He's done nothing compared to what Hillary Clinton has done.
Not 1/100th compared to what she's done.
Yeah, she may be the first woman ever that is running for the presidency after being elected by, nominated by her party. But she's the first one ever that is an unindicted co-conspirator, along with her husband, that is a criminal that has not been convicted yet, but will be. Mr. Trump, are you listening?
Please, please. I could just see him, you know, appointing the distinguished governor from New Jersey, Chris Christie, as Attorney General. I'd love to see him go after Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, did you see what he did at the convention when he?
Yes.
Chris Christie had a mock trial of Hillary. That was
I
classic.
missed that part.
Guilty or not guilty, and the whole crowd goes, guilty, guilty. And they all, what were they yelling? They were all yelling, lock her up.
I remember that part. I do. Gary, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back because Gary's got some great material here for us today, and he's going to come back and discuss that with you. We just want to keep you informed. We do. We want to keep you informed about what's going on. We want you to make an informative decision on your own, on your own. We'll be right back and say 2 and 2.
And I'm proud to be an American.
We're back. I'm back with Gary Miguel. Now, Gary has some very interesting things to talk to you about, some stats and some other things. So, Gary, I'm going to let you go ahead and tell the people what you got.
Well, we're talking about the economy. And if you love this economy so much, then I guess you're going to want to vote for Hillary. But is this the kind of economy that you think that resonates with people? This is the kind of economy under Obama, where for the first time in United States history, first time ever, a president has not averaged 3% or more gross domestic product.
That does not surprise me.
In fact,
I didn't know that figure.
He's going to go out averaging 1.5 gross domestic product.
Oh my goodness.
That's all. If that's the kind of if that is the kind of economy that you want to continue with, by all means, vote for Hillary. Vote for her.
It's only going to increase.
Even less.
Yes, that's right. It will increase. I guarantee you. Government spending is the only thing they know.
That's it. That's it. 20% of U.S. families don't have a single member who is employed.
Is that unbelievable?
Not one. Not
20%. That's 1/5. That's 1/5 of our population, and our population is roughly what, $400 million. Okay.
330 million. Yeah. A record number of Americans are not in the workforce. You're talking about over 94 to 96 million, I think it is really, that are not in the workforce. Tell me if that is the kind of economy that you want to continue under Hillary, and it will continue, and it will get worse. How about this? More young Americans now live with their parents than at any time since the Great Depression.
Another one.
And they can't get the kids out of the house because they can't find jobs, they can't find work. And you're talking about kids that have STEM degrees, science, tech, engineering, and math degrees. You know, a lot of those kids can't even find work. Why? Because they're importing a lot of foreign workers to take the place of those kids that are actually working. And I saw it firsthand with my very own eyes at an apartment complex in San Jose. I saw all of these young Indian guys there, and I wondered why there were so many of them. And I found out it was because those young Indian guys were being imported to take away the jobs in the Silicon Valley that are being employed by Google and what have you. The Indians were taking away the jobs of people that had already worked for these tech companies. And the American workers were being told that you have to train these new workers in the job because they're going to take your job away and we're going to pay them half of it. And if you don't train them before you go, we are going to take away your severance pay. Like that.
Can you believe that? Donald Trump has promised to put Americans first. And I know, not I think, I know he will do that. That's what we need. We need a leader that's going to put our people first, put Americans first.
Exactly. America first. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's very simple.
It's taking care of your own house. It's not leaving your doors wide open in your house. Would you do that, folks? Just leave your doors wide open and let anybody come in? You take care of your home first.
Absolutely.
America is our home. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with China taking care of their own, or Mexico taking care of their own, or Canada taking care of their own. It's a competitive thing that we have to compete against them in the world stage economically. But you take care of your own first. Nothing wrong with that.
It's funny that, I mean, saying that, of course, brings up thoughts of the borders and thoughts of who we let into this country.
Sure.
You know, and which is ridiculous. I mean, Hillary Clinton, well, you've heard, you know what her views are on letting people in. She wants to continue it. She wants to increase it by some 550%.
550% she wants to increase
Unbelievable. It. Just unreal. You know, I mean, they continue their assault on the world and on us. You know, enough is enough, you know.
Trump is saying, let's have Americanism, not globalism. And people are really catching up to that point and understanding it. I think a lot of the Bernie supporters understand it because you go to the Democrat National Convention, you saw all the Bernie supporters holding up their placards and their signs, no TPP, no Trans-Pacific Partnership, trade agreement, no TPP, which would take away our jobs and give it and offshore them, outsource them. We don't need that. The Bernie people don't like it. We don't like it. Normal people just don't like it. And we've had enough of it, and we're not going to take it anymore. People are angry. I'm very angry about it. I know you are too. And there's nothing wrong with being angry.
No, not at all. That's why I'm hoping.
As long as something gets done.
I think, and you and I talked about this on one of my other shows earlier, that I think people are slowly starting to wake up. You know, they're slowly starting. I know you're probably thinking, well, if you're conservative as we are, that the polls showed Donald Trump behind at 10% behind Hillary. It doesn't mean a thing. It really doesn't. I mean, you first of all, you got a 4-point margin of error there.
Right.
That drops it. That drops it. Plus the fact, as I understand it, that at about this time, Ronald Reagan was behind Jimmy Carter by like 12 or 14%, as I understand it.
I believe he was. I would have to look at it. You may know more about that than I do, but I know that it. Early on, several months before the election, Reagan was behind Carter.
Yeah.
And you know what happened with Reagan in 1980? It was a landslide. Look, nobody's talking about Hillary Clinton having a landslide victory over Donald Trump. Nobody's talking about that, but people are talking about a landslide victory for Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
I don't care if he's behind in certain polls now. It does not
matter.
It doesn't matter because they have just shown this. Pat Caddell is a Democratic pollster who's been doing his job, for about 45 years. He came out and he said that there was a poll by Reuters Ipsos. And in that poll, while the Republican convention was going on, Trump was really kind of socking it to Hillary in the polls. And they found out through Pat Caddell said this, that the poll for Reuters got fixed. He said they cooked the numbers.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
So after that happened, Hillary's numbers kind of took off.
Well, if you recall, say a couple of weeks before either one of the conventions, he was like maybe 4 percentage points behind.
Right.
Came up and tied her and surpassed her prior to the convention. He was in front 4 or 5 percentage points.
Right.
At that time.
Right. Yes. But don't pay attention to the polls, because the polls can be fixed. The polls can be wrong. That is not the real world. Just because the media is bagging on Trump constantly, day in, day out. And I said right after Trump was announced he was going to run, I said, who do you want to deflect all of this criticism from the media? I don't care if it's the Little Sisters of the Poor or Ronald Reagan comes back. The media will bag on this person endlessly.
Absolutely.
Who do you want? You want Trump, or do you want these other folks that he was running against? Trump is the only one really that can handle all of this. And I don't care who it is. Like I said, it could be the Little Sisters of the Poor that's nominated for the White House. The media is going to go after them, and they're going to destroy that person.
And you don't think that polls can be fixed, or they're not always accurate anyway.
No.
So it could be very easy for the media to say, well, this poll says that poll says that. It happens all the time.
Right. Well, there's a conservative governor by the name of Matt Bevin who got elected last November. And all of the polls, you go to realclearpolitics.com, and they had Matt Bevin behind by 8 points a day or two before the election. What happened? Matt Bevin got elected, and he got elected handily. So don't go by the polls. So here's another thing too. People think that the media is bagging on Trump constantly, day in, day out, and they don't hear the stories about Trump that have been omitted. They're not telling you that Trump is going out and grabbing 8,000 people at a rally the other day. He had 15,000 people at a rally in Jacksonville, Florida. What has Hillary been doing? She's been grabbing crowds of maybe 3 to 5
It tells
to
you a lot
800
right there.
at
It
high
tells you
school
a
gyms.
lot right there.
That is the real world. That's the real world.
The leftist media has tried to control this campaign since day one. Badgering Trump.
Right.
Badgering Trump.
Right.
And he's overcome every single bit of that.
And they're
every
not
time.
going to be successful. They're not going to be.
There's
because
no way.
the people who are speaking up, the people who are going to these rallies, it's the real world out there. And the media doesn't know about the real world. They don't want to report the real world.
That's true. It's very true.
We're the real world. Salt and pepper.
We need some changes, ladies and gentlemen. We have got to, please, like we've been telling you, do your due diligence. This is too important of an election. Right, Gary?
Yes.
It is too important,
We all have to do something. Whatever it is that you can find that you can do, whether it's contributing to the Trump campaign, or going out and talking to your friends, or going online to DonaldTrump.com and buying some of their signage and distributing it to people. Whatever you can do, whatever you want to do, we need to push this man over the goal line, because that's certainly what the media is trying to do for Hillary. They know that Hillary's a weak candidate.
I was just about to say that. Exactly. And that's what they've done from the get-go. It's always been Hillary. And they've badgered Donald Trump. And I keep saying it. I love it. He persevered, and he overcame every single bit of it, every time.
I want a fighter. I want somebody who fights.
Absolutely.
I don't want Mitt Romney anymore. I don't want John McCain anymore.
No.
Those people were not fighters. They rolled over like puppy dogs, whipped puppy dogs.
Every single one
at
of
the
them.
Slightest little criticism. Donald Trump is a fighter.
You doggone
He's
right
not
he is.
afraid.
He stands up, and he'll stand up for America. We need a change in this country. We're going to go take a little break, and we'll be back and say 2 and 2.
And I won't forget the men who died.
I'm back with Gary McGill, and we're discussing Hillary Clinton, or what we hope will be the lack of.
Yeah. I was going to say that economically that the Obama economy is so bad, and we don't want Hillary to continue it. And do you want things like this to continue? For the first time in American history, more businesses are being destroyed each day than are being created. For the first time in American history.
That I did not know. And I'm a small business owner.
That's not the story of America. America is they've always been involved with building things. And Trump, to our benefit, it happens to be what? He's a builder.
The master builder he is.
Yeah. Yes, he is. How about this? There are 70% more Americans collecting entitlement checks than working in the private sector, where we have 148 million takers as opposed to 86 million makers. That's really sad.
We have fourth generation.
We don't need this anymore. This is insanity. We don't need a woman like Hillary Clinton to continue this sort of thing. This is insanity. We don't need this anymore.
The sad thing about that, we've got fourth generation people on welfare. When they signed the Civil Rights Bill back in 1965, it has not worked since then. It really hasn't. All it's done is enslave people.
No.
Keep people
LBJ.
down. With the same, I don't think there's been any improvement since 1965 in this country as far as poor people are concerned. It has not happened. Go see Hillary's America. I think you'll get a real good view of what goes on in this country and what has gone on in this country, and you'll see the potential of Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to do your due diligence on this on your own.
Yes. I mean, that movie was extremely enlightening. It was very entertaining.
Very.
But it shows how the Democrat Party, for who knows how long, has been the party of slavery. They've been the party of keeping people under their thumb. They've been the party of mendacity and lies, of accusing Republicans who wrote the 14th Amendment, abolishing slavery through Lincoln. Lincoln was the Republican who helped to abolish
Very
slavery.
first Republican president, 1860.
The Democrats weren't doing that. Democrats were too busy running around with little white sheets on their heads with little, eye holes poked out.
And people don't know that. They do not know that. I tell everybody, we're the party of Lincoln, Reagan, and now Trump.
Yes. Right.
But Lincoln was the first Republican president. Actually, the GOP was founded in 1854.
Right.
And 6 years later he became, and then 3 years after that he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Republican president. First one.
Yeah, you're doing too. The Republicans have a lot to be proud of. And the fact that Democrats, through the media, has smeared them is ridiculous. You got a call?
Oh, we've got a call. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hello.
Ray?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Hi, it's Diane. This is
Hi.
Gary's sister.
Hi, Diane. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I just want to mention something. I want to tell you something that I found out recently that just absolutely terrifies me about this woman. She wants to increase the amount of Syrian refugees in this country by 550% when she gets in office.
We were talking about that earlier. Your figure is exact.
No idea what their background is, and ISIS has said that they are infiltrating the Syrian refugee problem.
They've said that all along.
This just absolutely terrifies me.
It does me too, and it should terrify everyone in this country. It should.
Right.
In lieu of all that is happening, you think it won't happen again here. Let those people in, and I can guarantee you, it will happen, and it will be devastating in this country.
All you have to do is watch something on YouTube called "With Open Gates," and you will see the torrents of migrants flooding into some of these countries.
Oh yes, I've seen.
On the violence that has ensued. If you go online and you do your reading, you will see the story after story after story, of these horrible incidents of women being raped by migrants, young and old, and it is just it's devastating what's happening over there.
You know,
really is.
the slitting of the priest's throat. I mean, for crying out loud. Remember a week ago?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, these ISIS idiots, they've already said, what better way for them to get into countries than through infiltration? That's
sure,
exactly
that's
how they're going to do it.
That's what they're planning. That's what they are doing. That's what they want. They are planning to infiltrate our country. That's what they do. And we need to destroy them. Donald Trump is unabashed about it. We need to destroy these people.
We have no choice.
You don't hear that from Hillary,
no,
do you?
she wants to do away with the Second Amendment.
She wants 550% more immigrants to come in here. People that are not that will not be citizens anytime soon, and we have to pay for we have to pay their way. We have to pay their welfare. We have to pay for their food, their education, their incarceration if it happens. We have to pay for that. Hillary, ain't gonna happen. Trump in the White House, January. Count on it.
This country is already, through this present administration, headed toward bankruptcy. It's not going to take very much. Pardon me?
This is Gary's dad, Peter.
Hey, how are you? The FBI agent. I'm glad you called. I am so glad you called.
Several members of the family and I went over to the movie house to see Hillary's America.
Oh, I want your opinion on that. I want your opinion on that.
Well, it's a wonderful picture. The producer, Dinesh D'Souza, he's an Indian immigrant. What a blessing he is to this country.
Absolutely.
He is a genius. He came here at 17 with $500 in his pocket, and then he's capable of producing this movie. It has to do with their Hillary's background as a crook, and Trump describes her appropriately when he calls her a crook.
Absolutely.
And another thing I'd like to point out is Clinton's cash, which has to do with the Clinton Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
When you see that movie, you come away with a feeling. I do at least. It goes back to the old Frankenstein movie where the villagers are aroused and they pick up the flaming torches and they march out en masse.
I have that image. I appreciate your input. I appreciate your input.
It's 25 minutes long, that Clinton cash, and it is well worth the time. Every American should see it.
I have not seen that.
Unfortunately, the Democrats are going to pass it up. But if they were to see it, I think that there would be a change of mind of considerable numbers.
I'm certain you're right. You know, I appreciate your input. I was hoping you would call today. Very much. We sure appreciate it. I hope you call all the time because we appreciate you guys call. You ask very good questions that the people need to know. They need to know this. And I'm hoping people will take this seriously because, like I said earlier, this is the most important election of my lifetime. And I hope it is for a lot of people.
You know, as an FBI agent, I wonder why Obama wasn't arrested, why Hillary wasn't arrested,
and
why Bill Clinton wasn't arrested. I'm surprised.
But
there's so many people. There are so many people involved. Let me point out one thing. My daughter was talking to a very well-educated young lady, and she is a Democrat, the young lady, and my daughter pointed out all of these discrepancies and faults in Hillary and the Democrats and the Clinton Foundation, and taking money from foreign governments and from various corporations that they do favors for. And you know what her answer was? The young lady says, they all do it. They all do it. I think that they're sensitized to a point that they're incapable of doing anything about the thievery on a grand scale by these individuals on both in both parties.
Well, I think you've got a very, very, very good point. Very good point. And you know, it's such a pleasure to hear from you. I mean, and we don't get FBI agents that call in every day, you know.
Yeah, this is a former government employee who is not in favor of expanded government. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
That's the point. And Hillary's the type of individual, like Obama, they want bigger government. Bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Sure, because they put some of that money goes into the hip National Bank.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We all know that. All that special interest. Have you got, you know, we would love to hear from you if you have anything else to say. We'd love to hear it from either one of you. Hello?
I'm sorry, Ray. We couldn't hear you.
Oh, I was asking if you had anything else to say, because we welcome anything that you have to say. I enjoy having these conversations.
Well, thank you. Those are the two things that we really wanted to point out, because we're just hoping that who's ever listening right now will take the time out to go see Dinesh Souza's movie, Hillary's America, because it's important that the word spreads around about her.
Thank you.
And also Clinton's Cash. They can watch that on YouTube.
Thank you so much. And we're going to do that. We're going to promote both of those.
Basically says the reason why she's getting away with everything that she's getting away with is because she is the system.
Of course she is.
So she has control of all of this.
It's beautiful that you said that.
And the people that surround her.
Listen,
and that's why, you know, there has not been any, you know, indictment against her.
Exactly. I loved her comment during the Democratic National Convention when she said, and Gary will like this, when she said, "I'm going to bring those fat cats of Wall Street down." And I said, "Wait a minute, aren't you one of those fat cats?" I mean, come on, you know.
Exactly.
You know?
Goldman Sachs. Yeah, Goldman Sachs.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Ray. Well, thanks for listening to us. We're
Thank
enjoying
you
the
for
show.
calling.
Bye, Gary. Bye, Ray.
Bye. Thank you again.
We're going to hang up and enjoy the rest of it.
Thank you very much. Great call, huh? Great call.
That's
Every
right.
time, great call.
Great call. You know, we need to get people fired up.
Yeah.
That's what this election's all about. Getting people fired up.
Obviously, these two wonderful people that just called in, they've done their due diligence. We all have to. I'm going to continue. When I get up in the morning, I usually rise about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And before I brush my teeth, I've got on CNN or Fox or something, and I'm trying to find out what's going on. And if I hear of something, and a lot of it, of course, is for the show here, but most of it is for my own. I want to make sure, you know, that if there's anything I can do to discourage people getting behind Hillary Clinton. So I read every single thing that I can.
Yes, yes. You know, I was saying that you should get more of your information through reading, because that way you can cross-reference things. The media, and I used to be a media person. My degree is in journalism and broadcasting. I worked in the business. I've worked in radio. I've worked in television. I've worked as a journalist. I worked at a major motion picture studio for many years. I've been on the inside of all of this. These folks are 90%, probably 90% Democrat.
Absolutely.
They've done
I
surveys.
know that. Look at Hollywood. Hollywood's a perfect example.
Yeah, they've done surveys on these folks, and about 90% of them are registered Democrats. They are extremely biased, and I keep saying over and over again, Winston Churchill said, socialism cannot exist without a propaganda machine behind it.
It
the
never
two biggest things.
has. It has never existed. It has never worked.
Yes.
Never has it worked.
To my mind, Ray, I think that the two biggest problems in this country, number one, no term limits in Congress. We need term limits in Congress.
Yes.
And number two,
we have
the
term limits in
media,
the Senate,
the biased media.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And how do you get rid of a biased media? I think you do it by installing term limits in Congress. You break up all of this centralized power.
Absolutely.
That
That's a wonderful idea.
Republican and Democrat parties have they've coalesced to the point where they've become a duopoly. They've become a uniparty. You can't recognize the Republican establishment from the Democrat Party itself, because they're working hand in hand on a globalist manner to usurp all of our rights and our freedoms.
Absolutely. Well, I think Ronald Reagan said back in the 1980s, we need more people, less government. Less government, more people.
Right.
And we do. And we do. And Thomas Jefferson echoed almost that identically a couple hundred years ago.
Yes, yes. Government is the problem, not the solution, as Reagan said.
We're gonna take another break here. We'll be back, and we'll sit here and talk to Gary in 2 and 2 very quickly.
Hands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
Back. Listen, before we get started here, I want to remind you that if you're watching this right now, we're live, okay? If you watch it after today, after 4, we're on from 4 to 5, then it's a rebroadcast. But I want you to know that in the event that you wanted to call back in. I'm back here with Gary. Gary's got a bunch of groovy stuff here for us to talk to us about and to that we hope will help you and be informative. Gary?
Some more information about how this wonderful Obama economy is running on all cylinders, as he wants to tell us. How about this? The number of food stamp recipients under Obama is 3 times higher than new job recipients, 13,298,000 added to food stamp rolls versus 4,276,000 new jobs. So you've got more people getting on food stamp than getting jobs.
Who pays for that? Huh.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. The middle class. This really rankles me because I grew up as a middle class guy, and so did you. Mm-hmm. The middle class is the heart and soul of this country.
It's the nucleus of this country. It always has been. It has to be.
If you don't have a middle class, you don't have anything. Now listen to this. The middle class under Obama has shrunk in 9 out of every 10 United States cities. 9 out of 10. The middle class has shrunk.
And significantly, I would imagine.
Yes. For the first time in almost half a century, the middle class is no longer the economic majority in America. The Pew reports that the middle class is, quote, disappearing and hollowing out.
Sure.
The middle class is disappearing in this country.
And what did Donald...
And it's exactly what people like Obama and Hillary want. They're socialists, and that's what they want. They are Alinskyites. That's what these people want. They want unrest from all of this economic turmoil. That's what they want. That way they can stir things up and remake it in their own image. It's the purpose of all of it. And we're not falling for it.
No, we're
not going to fall for it this November.
People have been led around and fooled, and I think people are starting to wake up and starting to realize what's going on in this world. I mean, how many times do we have to come up with? Every day there's something new on Hillary Clinton. Every single day.
Yes,
every single day there's something new. Wake up, people. Do your due diligence. Elect Donald Trump the next president of the United States. Let's get this country turned around. It's about time.
Yes. I mean, when the Clintons were in office in the White House, it was the same thing. There wasn't a day that went by that there was something going on with the Clintons. Even when they were in Arkansas.
When he was governor.
It was endless, everything, because these people are crooks. That's what they are. They are immoral, bankrupt crooks. They're criminals stealing from the American people, like a lot of politicians do. And then Trump comes along, like a breath of fresh air, doesn't talk like every other politician. It says, look, I want to make America great again. I want to get back to the fundamentals that make us great. I grew up in the 50s. I understand what the 50s were like when I was a young man. And I grew up in the 50s, and so did you. It was the best time in America.
Absolutely.
Don't let anybody tell you different.
Absolutely.
It was the best time, wasn't it, Ray?
Absolutely it was.
You can leave your doors wide open half the time. You went out and you played.
I'm telling you, I got to say something about what he just said. You know, we were farm people in Chowchilla, and I never had, my brother and I
was a suburban guy. I grew up
my
in the
brother and I
suburbs.
never had a key to our parents' house. We never did. Even up, and you know, when I went away to college, we didn't have a key. My parents had keys, and sometimes we'd come home, of course, and they wouldn't be there, and you just walked in the door. Same thing with everyone else. You know, you went over a guy's house, you just walked right in. No one locked their doors during those days. Look at the
Yes.
situation we have now, which is why we every week I encourage people to exercise their Second Amendment rights and go out and get trained for guns, because you don't know what's going to happen in this country. Like I've told you before, you could be at a soccer game, you could be at a baseball game, a football game, a concert with your child, and if you have a gun legally, you could at least protect your family and maybe get a chance to take out what the idiots, I put that in plural, the idiots that are causing this ruckus.
Yes, yeah, and you were talking about jihadists too.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
more that these radicals know that we are armed,
Thank you,
the
Gary.
less
Yes.
they're going to think about attacking us, and they're going to take their troubles somewhere else. Believe me, that's human nature.
I got to tell you, I got a best friend in Oklahoma, and he's a real cowboy. And
Like
I love
you,
the way, yeah, like me. I love the way he put things. And he said the other day, because he's a really simple guy, I just love him to death. And he said, he says, Donald Trump's just got to round up some old boys and go in there hooping and hollering. And I believe that's what we got to do.
You got to give a whooping to some people.
That's right.
Well, I
Absolutely.
think Trump is doing that.
Yes.
He's taking a whooping to some people. These politicians, he's not taking their guff. So what did he call some people some names? So what? Did Romney do that? Did McCain do that? No, they didn't do any of that. They just rolled over like
Absolutely.
puppies.
And that's another thing, Gary. I've been very upset with the fact that Bush and of course Cruz and several others, Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, hasn't gotten on board. We need everyone to get on board. I don't think they will, but I was hoping. I mean, that would have been a big boost to this party, big boost. But he'll win it without them.
You're darn right. We don't need them. We don't need them. Come November, we won't need them. And when Donald Trump does win, it's going to be like a firestorm coming through the Republican Party, because already people like Paul Ryan are talking about that we must retake our party. In other words, we must reestablish the establishment, because the grassroots, starting with the Tea Party a number of years ago, has taken over the Republican Party for the very good, because people have stood up and they've had enough of this business. They've had enough, and I've had enough. You've had enough.
Absolutely.
We've all had enough. We're sick of it. We want things to progress in a normal manner. We're sick and tired of insanity.
And that's what it is. It has been insanity, and it's only going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. This is very possibly the worst administration in the history of this country. And it's only going to get worse under Hillary Clinton. It's going to get worse. You think you have it bad now? Hillary Clinton gets elected before you, it's going to get really, really bad.
It's going to get really bad. It definitely will, without a doubt. And anybody that thinks otherwise, all I have to do is read the number of books that have been written about Hillary Clinton over the years. And I mentioned a little bit of this, the last time that I was on, the foul mouth that this woman has, the way that she treats people with,
and yet she talks about Donald Trump,
the way that she insults people, the way that she goes on these rampages and rages. She's had fights with her husband where she's attacked her husband physically.
When she was the first lady.
Yes,
yes,
yeah, the first lady. So you want her as the first president? This is, I keep saying, liberalism is insanity.
And she's not capable, ladies and gentlemen, of running this great country. She is, I mean, let's go to the facts. It is what it is. Hillary Clinton is not capable of running this great country. I guess we're going to have to wind it down here now. I want to thank my buddy Gary, and I like to put him on the spot and say, you're coming back, right?
I'm coming back as Salt and Pepper again.
Anyway, I want to close by every week I give you a little something to think about, and I think it's going to continue to be this from now on. Our law enforcement in this country has taken a terrible hit. Please, when you see them out there, maybe sitting in a car, you see them in a store, you get a chance to go up to one and thank him, please do that. Go up and thank him for a thankless job. Okay, let's let them know that we're behind them, that we support them, and that we appreciate everything that they do for us, because they do a great deal, ladies and gentlemen. So, until we meet joyously again next Thursday, heaven's blessings.
CentralValleyTalk.com